Hey, what's up, everyone? Thanks for coming into the stream. Hope everyone's having a good night. Tonight, we're going to be taking a look at Blake, the visual novel. Now, this is by developer LegendOri, O-R-I, and it is a visual novel in the style of a graphic novel, which sounds amazing. So, I don't know too much about the story. I've been trying to stay away from spoilers or any kind of synopsis, anything like that. The only thing I know is that it's in this high-tech kind of city, so I can't wait to get into it. Thank you again, LegendOri and Indie Game Collective, for giving me a key for this so we can play it for you. And let's go ahead and jump into it, and I'm sorry, but be prepared for some horrible voice acting. This is going to be fun. So far, the music is amazing. I like that. It's nice. Let's see here. Oh yeah, one more thing. I am not going to be using my face cam while I'm doing this, as the same way I'm doing the Raptor Boyfriend visual novel on YouTube. I feel the face cam takes away from the novel itself, so let me hit start, and I'm going to switch it up to the main screen. Contains themes around mental health, violence, and destructive behavior. The images, themes, and language used within the game may be disturbing or triggering to some players. Viewer discretion is advised. Okay. Self-voicing. Not sure what that is. I think I'll be fine. Let's get into it. I'm not sure how bad it's going to be, but you have been warned. Let's go. Huh. Okay. Is it really a smart idea to walk with my eyes closed? Let's open my eyes. Blake felt the cold air on his face as he opened his eyes. He stepped back from the ledge. Blake woke up. What a weird dream. It felt so real. I must have slept so heavy I didn't even hear my alarm go off. Blake was seldom tardy for work, or any other occasion for that matter. No time for his morning peanut butter on toast. He couldn't be late. He was still considered new at ICC, only days away from completing probation, and he had to make a good impression. I better get going. Life can often be unpredictable, and this was particularly true for Blake. Random happenstances, yeah, I said that right, had a way of following him like a stubborn pebble wedged into the sole of his shoe. No amount of picking would dislodge it, and it was accompanied by a certain amount of discomfort with every step. And he would never admit it, but sometimes he may have even consciously trod on the stone on spontaneity. Oh, big words. Blake. Look at that. That was awesome. Okay, this must be the ICC. On a daily basis, Blake's colleagues at ICC would bicker over the best immersive gaming experience of the year, brag about the newest techie purchases, and speculate who would next meet their demise on the popular weekly e-screen installment of Fixing Good. Blake's played it. Max's eyes suddenly popped up from behind the top of the computer screen. Don't you think the Office Co-op mode AI in Few Chores is totally Vin? Am I right? Am I right? Right? Max leaned towards Blake's direction. With a hand walling her mouth in forcible whisper, she exclaimed, "Back me up, Blake." Orlo spurted out an intentionally intelligent laugh, which in turn made Max giggle. Ha ha ha, Vin. What are you? Are you from another planet? What the fuck does Vin mean? You're just making up words. It means ridiculous, just like your laugh. Anyway, he doesn't give two hoots about Few Chores, you big nerd. You can talk. You're the only one who knows a whole VR room, who owns a whole VR room. Last time you get to use it then. There they go again. Hey, Blake. Oh, God, not her. Please, not her. He swiveled in his chair. Hey, Hari. Hari was a masterpiece, best admired from afar. She was one of those beautiful paintings that could speak 1,000 words without saying anything. Seriously, though, she could try not saying anything sometimes. Did you have a good weekend? Her fingers sprawled in her hair as she tilted her head in curiosity. Didn't do much, just the usual. You? Why do you even ask? OMG, yes. I went on a road trip with my girlies to the forest. We ate marshies over the fire. They were delish. And I saw a unicorn. My friend said I wouldn't see one out there, but I finally did. In every sentence she spoke was written. Blake imagined that they would always end in exclamation marks. Excuse me, what? I heard a noise in the middle of the night, unzipped my tent, and in the distance I swear I saw a unicorn galloping through the trees. I must have startled it. Oh, I just hit the menu button. Did she seriously think unicorns exist? It was probably a cow or a stag or something, just not a unicorn. Harry's skin flushed to a color similar to Max's hair. Oh yeah, you're right. Well, you should come along with us next time. We could have a barbecue at night and look at shooting stars. Putting up for her for a whole weekend would be a tough feat, but maybe it wouldn't be that bad. Would you go camping with me? I don't want to be mean. Yeah, it's not really my kind of thing. Oh, well, maybe that'll change. Blake smiled softly and turned back to his work. A giggling sang from Harry as she headed back to her female colleagues, with a small skip in her step, eager to tell them about the conversation. A slender figure hovered beside the desk. It was the junior techspert, Lee. ICC snapped him up before he could throw his graduation hat in the air. No one knew what Lee's forename was. Most people in the office didn't realize it was his surname, but Blake had noticed. He noticed Lee's email address started with S. Lee, not the standardized first name, surname layout. Lee was like a ball of plasma that dissipated nervous energy. His vision flittered from one thing to another, mostly managing to avoid meeting the eyes. It was as though he was preoccupied with taking in everyone and everything. He displayed anxious head twitches after every sentence, but his voice wore a friendly and happy tone. Most of the time he was elusive and hardly ever spotted around the office, or maybe the word noticed was more apt. Hey, Blake. Lee held a smile as his eyes scoured over Blake's desk space. Mr. Gourdain would like to see you in his office if you have a moment. Sure, of course, let's go. Max and Orlo continued to argue over few chores behind the desk and looked like they were about to try to involve him again. Now Blake had an excuse to slip away from the office debate and abstain from choosing sides. Hello there, Mr. O'Gart Lee. How's things? Going well, I hope. Ryan was chief operating officer at ICC. Whenever Blake saw her in the office, she was usually rushing around on urgent business. To be in her position within one of, if not the, world's leading tech firms meant she had to be extremely efficient. Although Blake had been working there for a while, he hadn't talked to Ryan much. It was always brief pleasantries and small talk, so it took him aback when she said his name. They were not on first name terms yet. Oh, good, thanks. I've been told Mr. Gourdain wants to see me about something. Is he about? He should be back any minute. It's kind of embarrassing, but I'm meaning to have a get-to-know-you chat. I've just been so busy, then poof, 2 months have whizzed by. She gave me an encouraging and gentle smile. For someone with so many plates to spin, she had a defyingly calm and welcoming aura. The conversation was cut short as Jonathan entered the office. Ah, see you've already here. Welcome. Take a seat, Blake. Right, will you be joining us? I'm a busy bee today, so I must dash. Blake will have that chat up soon. Oh, and Jonathan, I've left those papers you asked on the desk. Still have no idea why you use that stuff. She chuckled. Ah, that's lovely. Thank you, Rye. He nodded in appreciation. A barely visible wave from her hand could be seen as she rushed out the door, set on the work ahead. Jonathan settled down into his overpriced, roll-leather ergonomic "I'm the founder of the successful corporation" chair. All of his energy turned to Blake. So, Blake, you wanted to see me, Mr. Gourdain? It was a regular occurrence for Jonathan to request many meetings with his staff. He said he'd like to check up on the newest members to see how they were settling in. This is some fine work you've been carrying out on the promenade case. The only thing I'd like to point out is the daily stats in your spreadsheet. They don't correspond to the correct dates. Apart from that minor alteration, it's all looking very dandy. Jonathan was holding a copy of the screenshot in his hand. A paper screenshot. Blake had rarely seen paper up close. Jonathan laid it down flat against the table and slid it towards Blake. The material bowed upwards from the rush of air in front of him before it rested back down again. Paper used to be made from trees, a little-known fact for you. Now they're only manufactured by 3D printing and synthetic material, and it feels a lot smoother in comparison to the original. Blake reached over and grasped into the sheet of paper. It felt drier than he had anticipated, and this made him notice how clammy his palms were. This paper was made for the odd enthusiast like myself, and I use odd in both manners of the term. Blake studied the figures on the handheld screenshot. Looks like a couple of equations have gone out of sync. It'll be a quick fix, my apologies. After analyzing the data, he set the paper down on the table, and to his disdain, his grip left behind creased remnants. Good, there's no problem. Anywho, that's not the reason I asked you here. I know you haven't been in the company very long, and you have quite the workload. A stress headache started to rear its ugly head at the momentary double vision distracted Blake. He thought about how no one had come up with a cure for migraines yet. Staring at screens all day couldn't be healthy. Thankfully, it was brief for Blake, but he realized he'd completely missed what Jonathan had said. He hoped it wasn't anything too important. Oh, crap. Interesting. It probably is important, so... sorry, what did you say? Jonathan nodded reassuringly and delivered a warm smile. You're doing well, Blake. I hope you realize that. I have an exceedingly crucial project coming up, so I need someone I can count on. I'd like you to be part of it. That was my dog. It will allow you to show me what you can manifest. Oh, and the annual well-being test deadline is today. So if you haven't done it yet, make sure it's sent off. It should be in your inbox. It's only a few questions long, so it shouldn't take much time to do. Max and Orlo were still deep in conversation. Did they ever do any work? Do you remember Eric, the droid guard who used to bounce the reception? Yeah, I actually do. What happened to him? I heard they keep him in a bag in the room behind the front desk. Really? Yeah, he was sacked. Oh man, I fell for that one. I wonder what actually happened to him, though. A notification popped up on Blake's screen. One new email. I should probably do the well-being test. Well-being test, employee Blake Gartley. Sorry. This form is not anonymous. All information is secure and shared only with ICC's Specialist Department for use of monitoring all ICC staff's well-being. Support may be offered to tailor your needs at work. How are you feeling today, Blake? Had a headache, pebble in my shoe kind of thing. Okay. Out of the following fears, which do you relate to the most right now? Probably failure at my job. If you could see a scale above people's heads that measured one part in their status, what would you want to know about them? Honesty. How often would you say your day is differentiated enough for you to distinguish within a week? Every day's different. I finished it. 1 to 2 o'clock. To discuss a new project I'm assigning to you both. It's to me and Chris Mortar. I ask of you kindly not to mention anything about this project to any of your colleagues. Sure. 2 weeks is Harry's birthday. To Milton. Usually don't write a name. Happy birthday, Blake. Cool. Nope, you're wrong. Kilviart is a good person. That's why they do what they do. If that's so, why have they accepted all the money made from the publicity instead of giving it to charity? I know Blake agrees with me here. We were talking about it last week. Stop trying to pull people into your losing battles, Orlo. It doesn't work. So it's only okay when you do it? I'll look busy. Blake gave a non-committal murmur as he continued to drown out their incessant chatter, not wanting to break his busy workflow. Max started to frantically prod at her screen, and all eyes slowly looked around at her. What the helicopter? Has someone changed the details of my spreadsheet for the radar project? All of my work, it's totally gone. Orlo, this isn't one of your pranks, is it? Nope, not me, I swear. I can help you get your save file from yesterday's backup, but it won't have any of your work that you've done today. Thanks, Blake. That's kind of you, but I can sort it out. Max and Orlo both smiled in appreciation. I don't know why anyone would go into my work and change it, though. I know, it's Vin. That's not what the word means, Orlo. Welcome, Blake. I'm so glad you accepted the invite, and it's good to see you again. I have an exciting project for you to get involved in. Usually meetings were held in one of the 4 12-seater meeting rooms, however this seemed more of a cozy affair. Blake preferred it to the meeting rooms, which were always set at an extreme temperature. He theorized that the temperature was deliberate. A freezing cold room when the meeting required full alertness and flowing creativity, or a toasty warmth that would lull you into a light slumber of compliance when the agenda was one where fewer opinions were appreciated. Chris, this is Blake, one of our newest recruits. For a man of such otherworldly stature, Chris gave Blake a disappointingly limp handshake. Maybe he was purposefully exercising caution. After all, those paws could easily crush a coconut. God dang, he's big. Good lord. Hi, Chris. Nice to meet you. I don't know, should I go deep with this voice, or should I go really high? And you. No, I'm not going to do that. And you. That sounds like Jonathan. Yeah, and you. Gentlemen, take your seat. Chris and Blake shuffled into the sofa in the office, perched beside one another. Jonathan stood in front of them and made use of the projected touchscreen on the wall behind him. You may have noticed the agenda in the meeting invite was missing. Blake and Chris nodded in tandem. Jonathan brought up the meeting invite into the screen and swiped his hand across the empty space after the word agenda. A black box appeared over the text, which highlighted and revealed the words Project HG. The project name had been written in white against the background, which had been concealed the word on the screen. Jonathan smirked to himself, thrilled at the opportunity to finally employ a classic spy trick used by protagonists in the espionage novels of bygone years that he so loved. He stilled himself for the introduction, intended to be seared with finesse, sprinkled with style, and served up with panache. At least this was how he hoped to deliver it. Jonathan often considered himself a pompous old fool, and marveled at the fact that the rest of the world hadn't caught on yet. Every instant message and email you send, every word you speak or text, every update you make on your phone, every movement when your e-screens, consoles, and computers are on, they're all recording your data. Blake suppressed a smile, musing that here he was witnessing Jonathan at his finest. The gleam in the CEO's eyes were like that of a religious zealot, compelling those around him to follow. Blake wondered if this was a trait Jonathan had always possessed, or if it was a latent ability that manifests later in life. For a select few shadowy clients, these circumstances and contracts decree they shall remain anonymous. We have been working on Project HG, a system that blocks all records of the sender's ID, location, even their existence when used. Imagine text filling your screen as though plucked from the ether itself, utterly incognito. Just think of the military and security applications. It's as though you're receiving a message from a ghost, a spy's dream. Heavens, why do you even think they call themselves spooks? Jonathan decided to omit the line about it having nothing to do with the regular haunts, comprising of flash car dealerships and boudoirs of high-class call girls. He concluded that an extended metaphor could often prove irksome, and the mention of fast cars and loose women may distract his listeners' minds from the crucial subject matter. Jonathan took out a flat handheld screen, not any model Blake recognized. The phone in the center of the desk released a disruptive twitter in between Chris and Blake. Who does it say it's calling? The disruptive unit lit up and displayed incoming call from blank. The incoming call stopped. Complete anonymity. His voice lowered toward the end of the word anonymity for dramatic effect, and he interlaced his fingers in a satisfied power pose. Blake could only hope that one day he'd be able to captivate an audience with such a passionate verve. And although Jonathan's theatrical performance was inspiring, to say the least, he found his attention dared to flicker over to Chris. Once Blake had noted Chris's inelegant idiosyncrasies out of the corner of his eye, he couldn't help monitoring him periodically through the meeting. Chris's left hand was placed on the smooth black meeting room table in a fist, whilst the right hand an obsolete and unusually large pen, positioned as if to note something down, but not accompanied by a tablet. The feeling of Chris's gaze twitching over him, accompanied by an uncomfortably blank expression, caused an uneasiness to slither through Blake. Primarily, the HG device is advanced crypto processing software. We collated feedback from our clients, and the results showed that they desired software that solely connects to the HG device, rendering it incompatible with any other hardware. This means the software is highly, if not completely secure from interception and piracy. And I cannot talk tonight. Get a drink of water. Okay. There are currently two types of HG, the flat tablet and the touchboard tablet. Jonathan showed them a sleek black tablet. The touchboard slid out from underneath the screen with a satisfying smooth click into position. The touchboard was blank. The keys only illuminated once the gadget was activated. So, if I send a message to someone who has this device, how does that work? Good question, Blake. You cannot send a direct message to someone who has an HG device unless they have initiated conversation, as there is no number to identify the user with. This means you can reply to emails and texts but not initiate a voice or video call. You also cannot see a message sent from an HG device if you log into the same account on an external device. It's simply gratia, Chris. If I sent you an email from the HG device and you open the email from your home computer, you would then only be able to access the message on the said home computer. You would not be able to view it if you logged into your email account from another device, such as the phone or work computer, understand? Blake and Chris bobbed their heads in unison again. When you use the HG device and create a new untraceable path for the message. So if you need So, if you send a message to someone with the HG, the recipient will see it and be able to retain it. However, it won't show who it is from. Keeping a record will deem the message unsecure because if the recipient's device falls into third-party hands, they can retrieve the information. Additionally, due to the state-of-the-art software embedded into the message, you cannot forward, copy, or print screen any of the content received. The HD device user can alternatively choose an expiration date for the message to disappear from the recipient's device, or even once the recipient navigates away from the open message. Essentially a self-destruct button, if you will. You'll both be given a prototype version to work on and familiarize yourself with. I ask that they remain within the premises and you store them inside your lockers. Once the meeting had adjourned, Jonathan caught Blake's attention before he could leave the room. What did you think? It was great. I'm excited to work on this project. I'm very grateful for the opportunity. And what were your impressions of the new project colleague, Chris? He seems a little odd. Don't worry, he's a good man. I think you two will work very well together. A few hours flew by like nothing. Blake swore he felt the vibrations from the floor up through his chair as the foot stomps came closer to his desk. Just as Chris approached, a loud sneeze trumpeted from behind Blake's computer. The gentle giant's attention averted to Max. Achoo! Bless you, Max. 156. What are you on about? Orlo always piped up whenever Max said something. It was like they had a mutual agreement that they were a duo. Chris stood motionless and bewildered. A wise man once told me to count my blessings. An expression of smugness took over Max's face. In her mind, she saw her audience erupt into laughter. Back in reality, there was a mental facepalm and weak chuckle from the surrounding desks apart from Chris, who still looked baffled by the whole encounter. He was unfamiliar with this part of the office, and he rarely had a reason to be there. I think you dropped this in the meeting room. The bass of the giant's voice reverberated in Blake's chest as he handed over Blake's keycard. So deep it is. Such an awkward, unnatural-looking smile. It must be forced. Still, Jonathan wanted him to give Chris the benefit of the doubt. Oh, thanks. Blake gave him a friendly smile and a nod. Chris stayed put, lingering momentarily, as if unsure about something, then he took his leave. Max watched in awe as the Gigantor trudged back to the second floor. How did he know my name? Geez, the size of that man. He could probably rip your head clean off your shoulders if he wanted to. And I bet he's an absolute beast in the bedroom. He playfully wiggled his eyebrows at Max. Knock it off, Orlo. Maybe we should invite him out for drinks tonight, seeing as it's Friday and we hardly know the guy. Could be an interesting man underneath all that beefy muscle. If you carry on talking about him like he's a piece of meat, I'm going to start some beef with you. As if you would. We all know that you're a coward. Come on then. Show me what you got. Make your move. Oh, God, they were back on the puns. Terrible ones at that. Although it could be distracting on occasion, Blake enjoyed the breaks from figures and processes. He was grateful to be around friendly colleagues in his work life. They were almost like a family to him in a strange way. Enough with this bullshit. Blake, you in for drinks at Saucy Mama's tonight too? I want to go to Saucy Mama's, yeah. Go on then, I'll come along. He decided it'd be a good idea to get out for the night and maybe take some time to get to know his colleagues a little bit better. Saucy Mama's was primarily a burger joint which served as a cafe by day and transformed into a bar by night. Excuse me. Famous for their pie screams, cocktails, and the energetic, skimpy outfitted cookies. Oh god. Cookies were just another term they used for the chiseled, model-like servers. They were a mixture of humans and droids, but each had been chosen to work there due to their almost unnatural perfection. For somewhere that somewhat sounded hectic, it had a laid-back atmosphere. Maybe this was because everyone is hypnotized by the Barry-esque shows. Blake had a couple of drinks and enjoyed the chatter among the group. I like Max. She's kind of cool. Sure, let's chat. Orlo's just gone to get some more drinks. How long have you been at the ICC? I've been working there nearly 2 years now. Orlo started not long after me. The time has whizzed by. What do you think about Orlo? He's okay, I guess. I'm kidding. He's my gaming buddy. We ride or die. An excellent wingman. He can come across a little guarded at first, but get to know him and he's very charming. He seems to have a way of talking you into things. Sometimes it's like you don't get a choice. What's your favorite game? I love Ultra Assault. Me and Orlo always get involved in the annual tournament, and without it, I probably wouldn't get any exercise. I also love narrative choice games, but it's so annoying when you have to give a choice of what to say and then the character says something completely different. What do you think of Lee? I think he's a dorkable, sweet guy. What do you think of Chris? Seems friendly. A bit stoic, but harmless from what I can tell. I don't really know him enough because he works on a different floor. What do you think of Jonathan? He seems like a good, fair CEO. I've certainly had worse bosses. What do you think of Harry? I don't know her that well. We hang out in different circles, but she seems very positive and happy. So you and Orlo aren't an item? An item? Max laughed. Oh no, he's like a brother to me. Okay, see ya. Good chat. Hey Blake, Max has just gone for some fresh air. Let's chat. What do you think of Max? Max is a sweetie, I love her. You're in love with Max? Orlo smiled and raised his eyebrows. Not like that. She's my little Max. What do you think of Lee? He seems like a genuine person, but very elusive. Now and then he'll play games online with me and Max, but he doesn't really say much outside of game tactics. What do you think of Hari? Not sure about that one. How come? Orlo leaned closer to Blake, quickly glancing to make sure she wasn't in earshot. Well, she doesn't have an Imagination account. Does that matter? I'm not saying she has to have one, but it doesn't fit her profile. It begs the question, why isn't she wasting her time here taking pictures of us, her food, her drinks, and uploading them to Imagination? I don't have an Imagination account either. Yes, but that's very much the dark and mysterious Blake, not Hari. How long have you been at the ICC? I started not long after Max did. What do you think of Jonathan? Busy man, but has time for anyone that asks, which is nice, so no complaints. What do you think of Chris? He works on a different floor, so never met him before. I'll let you know once I get to know him. It's been good talking to you. Hey! So how long have you worked at ICC? Just a couple of months. What do you do outside of work? I love going camping and spending time with my besties. And I love the movies. I'm hoping to save up to move to Hollywood and become an actress one day. Nice. What do you think of Orlo? He's fun. What do you think of Max? Max is really funny. What do you think of Lee? He's the quiet one, right? I always see him at the reception talking to Andy. What do you think of Chris? She shrugged. I haven't met him before. What do you think of Jonathan? I don't really know him. Don't you have monthly meetings with him? No, I have monthly meetings with my manager. Oh, okay. Bye. She wasn't very chatty today, more like she was focused on her surroundings. Let's hang out again soon. Hey Blake, let's chat. What do you think of Chris? He seems friendly enough, but I don't know the guy. I mostly talk to Andy when I'm not too busy with work. What do you think of Andy? Andy's such a cool and friendly dude. I feel like I can talk to him about anything. What do you think of Orlo? He's fun. Maybe a bit loud. I play games with him and Max occasionally, and it's a laugh. They usually chat away. I'm more of a listener. What do you think of Hari? I haven't spoken to her much, so not too much to say, really. What do you think of Max? She's nice, and I like playing games with her and Orlo. Lee went quiet, his face flushed to a soft pink. What do you do outside of work? Oh, when I'm not gaming, I'd like to go running to clear my head. It helps. I bet running works well. Yeah, definitely. Paired with some blood-pumping music, it really gets addictive. Thanks for the chat. Chris wasn't contributing much to the conversations at the table, mostly smiling and nodding. Hey, Chris. How long have you been at the ICC? 4 years. What do you do outside of work? What do you like doing? I love taking Mar for long walks. He's my dog. Do you like dogs? I love dogs. What do you think of Jonathan? He's a very decent man. What do you think about Max and Orlo? They seem nice. What do you think of Lee? He seems kind. What do you think of Hari? She seems happy. You don't say much, do you? No. Bye. Blake finished talking to everyone. Finally back home, Blake trudged in. Now tired and a bit peckish, he rubbed his stomach and sat down on the couch. E-screen on. The E-screen came on to life. He'd set the news stream to play when it turned on, as it filled the silence before looking for something to watch. Kill VR, the controversial killer who hunts down dangerous convicts and records the murders through the bionic eyes, is the focal point of the upcoming documentary Kill VR in the Eyes of a Killer. Promising never-before-seen, ultra-shocking VR footage, including their very first kill, from Kill VR's own eyes, the one that started it all. Blake checked his phone idly. One new voicemail. Since when did anyone use voicemail? Good evening, Blake. How about going for that lunch I mentioned tomorrow at Saucy Mama's? I have a car. Come pick you up about noon. What lunch was he talking about? The meaning came flashing back. He'd zoned out from the conversation due to a headache. Why on earth would Jonathan want to hang out with him outside of work hours? He hated himself a little for missing something so important. The light from the E-screen glared at Blake. The news channel illuminated the room as it flashed from one scene to the next. As usual, he had nodded off with the E-screen chatting in the background. The thick, dark curtains were drawn, blocking out any ounce of light that would have allowed one to speculate the time of day. But that's how he preferred it. The time blinked in blue light from the side of his bed. 11:11 a.m. Overslept again. Gone were the days where he thought he could spring out of bed at 8 a.m. or even earlier. The sound from the E-screen was muffled. Rummaging around, he retrieved the remote from underneath him and instantly reaped the rewards of comfort. Level 3 on the sound. It was too quiet to hear. He must have fallen asleep on it. Turning up the volume, he could now hear the news reader breathlessly reporting the story of a theft at the Owl Sanctuary just hours ago. Police believe that the Parliament of Owls was stolen in the middle of the night between 12 a.m. and 2 a.m. However, no witnesses have come forward as of yet. If anyone has any information on this, please contact the local number of the New Stone Police Department, quoting reference 282820. Who would commit such a horrible, heartless act? Blake checked himself. He thought that not only was he reporting the news, but offering her own opinion on it. He missed the days when news consisted of facts rather than including speculation and emotion. He conceded that he had to agree with her on this occasion. Who would commit such a heinous crime? Gathering his senses, movement from above caught his eye. Something was in the shadows all around him. 14 spherical objects were reflecting the images from his news. The objects disappeared and reappeared at different intervals. The hooting noises on the E-screen made him jump. Wait, no. That wasn't on the E-screen. Oh, shit. Okay. The Parliament of Owls are in my bedroom. How the fuck did they get here? Was someone pulling a prank? He quickly checked the flat to make sure there was no uninvited guest apart from the owls. What was he going to do? How could he make this right? Ring ring. It was his phone. Jonathan's car was here to pick him up. Oh, fuck. He rushed around getting ready. The owl problem would have to wait a little bit longer. Jonathan was already sitting at the table waiting for Blake. Thank you for joining me on your day off. Blake smiled and sat down. I invited you because we have something important to discuss. Something I should have made you aware of earlier. I just haven't found the right time. Jonathan exuded a film noir aesthetic, but of course no one but him even knew what that was. For the man was the face of the future, and he loved to live in the past. The server appeared, and Jonathan bided his time. Put your order on my tab. It's Mr. Gourdain. I'll have a bottle of Bluebeard. Make that too. Blake thought about the owl problem back at home, and now he felt stuck whilst the situation was getting worse. 2 blue beers coming up. 2 blue birds. Okay, whoops. The server prodded her table before sauntering off. Jonathan looked curious, like he was scrutinizing a puzzle for its solution. What is it? You're troubled. Might I ask, might I be able to help? Blake shot a furtive glance around the restaurant, satisfied there was eavesdroppers present, and he continued in a lowered voice. Oh, God. Okay, I'm just gonna do it. Boop! Here are your drinks. Blake knocked back a large swig of Bluebeard and weighed his options. He was in 2 minds, but he had no choice. He had to tell Jonathan. I had a few drinks last night, went to sleep, and when I woke up this morning, there were a bunch of stolen owls in my flat all around me. I think I might have stolen them. Jonathan seemed calm and collected. You don't remember doing it? Stealing the owls? No, not at all. Jonathan leaned back in thought and took a deep inhalation. This reminded him of the smoking e-pipe. He enjoyed ancient relics from an era that had been lost to the affliction of time. Out of his collection, he especially admired an antiquated pipe he had acquired from a stall in the opposite side of the city. He'd had his e-pipe specially redesigned to replace it. All I know is that this morning I wake up to the news channel showing a story about stolen owls. Moments later, I found those missing owls staring at me from the curtain rail. My shelves, my bed frame, everywhere. Pretty much on the top of whatever they could perch on. I don't remember stealing them or putting them there. I know that for certain. But I have no idea who did it, how they broke into my flat, or how they can get them there without me noticing. Beep. Someone is having a joke. The owl and the wooden mouse ran away. In an elegant pumpkin carriage, they journeyed wide and far under the stars. Oh, what a beautiful marriage. What is it? He read the text aloud. The owl and the wood mouse? What's that? It's an old poem about 2 unlikely species. The owl and the wood mouse, hunter and prey, who want to be together, but it's not seen as acceptable in the forest, so they run away to live together in harmony. It's a love story. Jonathan rubbed his gray stubble. And now this becomes also very interesting. You have found a message from the culprit, so I think it's safe for us to deduce that this wasn't an act of a drunken you. Possibly a harmless, albeit reckless prank, an overzealous admirer, a jilted ex-lover perhaps. I doubt it would be my ex Stacy. She wouldn't do something like this, and she lives in a different city. Jonathan looked inspired, eyes lit up with a wonder and determination. He'd gone into full detective mode. I'm intrigued to see where this will lead us. Us? Yes. You need to analyze the crime scene for clues, and it's not too much of a bother. I'd be elated to join you in this exciting endeavor. Before Blake could interject, Jonathan continued. Let's head to your apartment and see if we can find any clues. We need to ensure the owls are in good health, and then we'll have them reunited and return safely. They headed outside into the bitter cold. Jonathan took a breath of E-pipe. He blew out a mixture of Earl Grey scented smoke and cold air, which formed a cloud that enveloped him. Why Jonathan had wanted to meet at Saucy Mama's in the first place was still a question at the back of Blake's mind, but it would have to stay there for now. I swear my keycard's in here. I'll have to use my phone pass instead. There's my keycard. That's a strange place for it to be. I always keep it in my wallet. Blake took out his wallet and inspected it. What? Huh? Someone's ripped a hole in the bottom of the card holder. Does anyone have access to your keycard apart from you? Not normally, but I dropped it in the meeting room the other day. Chris found it and returned it to me. It's never happened before. Interesting. Have you left your wallet anywhere unattended recently? Not that I recall. Why would someone cut a hole in your wallet to get the keycard instead of just taking it? Maybe to make someone else look suspicious. This is most likely the answer. There'd be no reason to cut a hole in your wallet to gain access to the keycard. Someone wanted your keycard to drop, so someone else would pick it up and alert you to the fact it wasn't secure. What this means is, someone might have had access to your apartment since before Friday. This all sounds a little complicated and far-fetched. It does, and all the more intriguing. What's this? On the floor was a tablet pen. Blake vaguely recognized it from somewhere and took a closer look. The tablet pen was bright shaded pink, an aggressively chewed end. Blake didn't have a tendency to eat pens. It was an efficient way to get unwanted germs. And he certainly didn't want to use one that someone else's mouth had been intimate with. Yuck, someone's chewed this pen. This might be a clue to who was last in possession of this pen. The word Max Hacks was in big turquoise letters down the side. Max Hacks? Let's check Whatsits. Jonathan opened the Whatsits app and looked at a picture of the lettering. First match here is an Image Nation account belonging to our very own Max. It showcases some of her hacking knowledge, but it's mainly screenshots of her gaming on her Nudge stream. It's things like this that will internally baffle me. Call me an old fuddy-duddy, but with everyone is so busy streaming, what are they doing? Who's left to watch? Blake had no idea what fuddy-duddy meant, and noticed Jonathan had a tendency to use large number of outdated words. However, this is beside the point. How did he get here in your apartment? I honestly don't know. There was a piece of material stuck to the nib of the pen. There's a small piece of silk material on the end here. This is all very intriguing. Beer. This is the beer I had when I went to bed, nothing weird about it. On the contrary, Blake. You said you don't remember hearing anything at all, yes? Correct. Is there a chance someone could have tampered with your drink? Now that could explain why I slept so late. Blake looked startled and horrified, then gave the drink a sniff. You wouldn't necessarily smell or taste it, but let's move on for now. Hold on a minute. You just said I might have been drugged. There's no way to test it right here and right now, but we'll get to that. We need to rule out every possibility. It looks like the material from the nib of the pen is from my wallet, so someone used the pen to rip the hole in it. Whoever had access to the pen in your wallet is our prime suspect right now. What does this all mean? I don't know, but something isn't right. I believe there's more to this than we initially thought. So you suspect foul play? Precisely. The next thing we can do to advance our investigation is to check the building's CCTV. But first, let's get these owls back home. Jonathan took out a familiar-looking device. You have an HD device with you? Oh yes, this isn't a prototype version though. Jonathan started to message someone and Blake thought back to the owl and the wood mouse text he had received. The message had no sender. Claude should be here soon to come pick up the owls. Who's Claude? He's a friend that works in the NSPD. Wait, what? You informed a police officer? Detective. Okay, give me 1 sec, guys. Gotta check on my wife real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, we are back. Let's see. So we called the detective. What should we do? Are you sure we can trust him? Yeah, he's a friend and we can trust him. He's my personal contact in case of emergencies. So you're saying you can just do what you want and he'll say that you're an anonymous tipper? Well, I can't do anything I want. That wouldn't be responsible. But he's always there to assist if I need a favor. Jonathan's voice softened a little. In the meantime, whilst we wait, we should sit down and talk. I still have something very pressing I need to discuss, and here is probably the best place to do that. Blake was intrigued and half expected Jonathan to swipe his hand across the air to magically reveal his pressing agenda. Go on. Firstly, I want to say that although the circumstances here with the owl situation are a little odd, to say the least, I'm enjoying spending some time helping you. Jonathan was searching for the right words to continue. I'd like to direct the conversation to your past. More importantly, that you had a change in guardianship at a young age. It seemed an odd direction for the conversation, but it took a lot to face him. You mean when I was adopted? Yes, you see, the thing is, Blake, there's no easy way for me to say this, but... Jonathan looked down at the ground momentarily. I am your biological father. Really? A deafening silence swept through the room as they both let the information sink in. Blake was clearly confused. It was a reaction that Jonathan had anticipated. They simmered in the moment. Jonathan patiently waited whilst deep in thought about how to continue the conversation. Interesting. Interesting. I'm gonna go neutral. Yeah. I'm gonna go neutral. Why didn't you tell me? Why are you telling me about this now? I know you must be feeling... I know you must feel... What? I know you must be feeling thunderstruck by the news. I can't understand that, but... Here, take this. It contains all the documents in it. They're yours now. It has all the information you need. As much as he would have preferred to be handing over a brown envelope with strings and a washer, the mini flash drive would have to do. The small object was encompassed in the palm of his hand. Jonathan's expression started to soften as he handed it over. Blake studied the back of Jonathan's wrinkled hand as he held it out, the snaking vines reminding him of a valley of winding rivers. Jonathan began an attempt to explain more, but was interrupted by the doorbell. We'll discuss this later, I promise. Blake opened the door, and in walked Claude. He nodded at Blake. His eyes scanned the room, then his attention quickly went to Jonathan. So, what was the mess then? Thank you for coming in, Claude. Blake, do you mind if I take him to see the owls? Jonathan pointed to ask which way Blake's bedroom was. Sure, go ahead, it's just down there to the right. Once they left the room, Blake sat down and thought about what Jonathan had just told him and toyed with the flash drive between his fingers. He grabbed his computer and slotted the flash drive in. Scrutinizing the documents, there was a birth certificate, same birthday as the one he celebrated, adoption documents, and a family picture. A smiling 6-year-old Blake, his mom, and proud-looking 30-year-old something Jonathan. Blake had vague memories of his parents, but it was mostly a blur. Jonathan had felt familiar when they first met, but thinking back, the man seemed different now than what he remembered. Time and success had most likely aged and shaped him into the person he'd become, and they had over 2 decades to catch up on. This all looks legit. Blake Gourdain. Well, that's something I'm going to have to get used to. But why don't I remember this clearly? Right, I'm going to need to transport the owls somewhere secure and release them in an area where they can't escape. Then I can call it in as an anonymous tip-off. There's no evidence will be found. You can use the abandoned computer store. ICC, procured the building, and the renovation isn't due to commence until next month. There's no CCTV, and you can use the side street for discretion. Sorry. There was a normal half-assessed precipitation going on outside as half-assed precipitation going outside as Blake checked out the sliding balcony doors. He imagined it would work in their favor for keeping the streets quiet. They transferred the owls to the back of the police van concealed inside multiple cardboard boxes. It was an arduous task, done to ensure that none of the owls were harmed in the process. Again, my utmost appreciation for your assistance with this, Claude. Please let me know when this is all done. Claude tipped his hat at Jonathan and gave another nod to Blake before leaving. Jonathan noticed the family picture on Blake's computer screen and smiled. I'm very fond of that picture. Smile faded and a giant sadness showed in his eyes. Jonathan cleared his throat and knew that Blake would also need some time before the news sank in. Let's go back to the owl situation. And how could this have happened? Let's analyze the evidence we have. Is there anything prominent that sticks out here? It seemed a meticulous and investigative nature ran in their blood. Blake took a moment to choose his words carefully. The sender's name on the text I got was blank, which means it was someone that has access to the HD device. Well, this is very strange. That's news to me. I can imagine this may make me look like a suspect, however. I can assure you it wasn't me. For now, you'll have to take my word for it. There's another way I might be able to help you shed some light on the culprit. I'll pick you up tomorrow and we'll check the apartment security footage. Try to get some rest. Blake had a moment to take in his surroundings and let out a big breath. Oh. He decided to go survey the damage in the bedroom. Feathers everywhere, and bird shit. Just like he had predicted. He clicked on the news channel and started to scrub. It was more difficult to clean than anticipated. Nothing on the news about the owls yet, but it was too soon. He'd have to bag up these feathers tight. Maybe make a pillow. Room cleaned, he could finally rest. The next morning felt nice and calm in Blake's apartment, just how he liked it. A new day, no concerns. If anyone has information on Sam Smith's whereabouts, we urge you to come forward and please contact the Hive team. The news finally switched to what he had been waiting for. And some good news today. At 8 a.m. this morning, all 7 of the missing owls were delivered back to the New Stone Owl Sanctuary after a detective located them in the local closed-down store. Although there is no evidence to suggest who committed the crime, we can confirm that no harm came to the owls, and they are very happy to be home. Some good news for once. The clip of the reporter outside the building cut to a montage of cute owls accompanied by a silky voicemail narrator telling his audience which owls are close buddies and how they like to spend their spare time. The report finished up with a request for donations. It was clear the Owl Sanctuary was making the most of the opportunity to promote. Ring ring. Hey Blake, get down here pronto. We've got some investigating to do. Where are we going? You'll see. Jonathan was driving manually and concentrating on what he was doing. Blake didn't understand why Jonathan didn't just use the autopilot, but chalked it up to being another of his anachronistic. Wow, I don't know that word. Eccentricities, I guess. Like, he's eccentric. Yeah, I know the word, but it was hard to say. Blake made a bet with himself that Jonathan probably still drank water from the tap, too. They traveled outside to the business district to the east part of New Stone. Around here they called it Newston. Large, opulent houses, lavishly decorated and possessing the newest of technology and gadgetry. Gardens exhibited the finest topiary and exotic plants. This part of town was heavily surveilled by private security firms and personal bodyguards. Only the top businessmen, the richest celebrities, and high rollers lived here. Jonathan had an assault course of security systems to override to gain access to his own house. The spacious living room was white and black with a minimalistic style, especially tidy due to the hired cleaner who visited every couple of days. An open-plan kitchen joined to the far back end of the room, gray, silver, black, and white, no colors to be seen anywhere. Only one room in the house possessed a slightly wider color palette, and that was Jonathan's work-at-home office. The circular, archaic bookcase, the odd contraptions in a cabinet of wonders, and some sort of leafless tree-type sculpture thing lurked in the corner of the room. It was honestly just how Blake had imagined. It's just in here. You have books? They stopped at the bookcase, and Blake chuckled and scanned the titles. They didn't look neat. Every book was a different height and width, and each one had different colored sleeve. This is a concept I learned from a forgotten era. Jonathan couldn't help but let slip a smirk. He clutched the book by its spine and tilted it towards him. The book released faintly an audible click. Jonathan gave Blake a wink as the bookshelf moved to the side, revealing a hidden door. Down in the clandestine room, he housed 2 computers and other technical instruments that Blake had never seen before. Take a seat. Take a seat. There you go. The 2 machines were on standby mode, so there was no waiting around for them to load up. What is this place? Where'd you get all these things from? This is where I keep my investigations, prototypes, backup equipment. I always thought it'd be useful to hold on to some of these items, as they could be put to good use. First things first. Jonathan poured some of the liquid from the beer bottle into a container. Then he clicked it into the machine, then was busy tapping away on his phone. This little invention can tell you information about ingredients and the breakdowns of nutrients, as well as read calories. It also works with materials. My, the reader says the liquid contains hypnorol. No wonder you didn't hear anything. Someone drugged me, but how? I don't want to alarm you, but I would guess it would have to be a beer most Fridays. That you have a beer most Fridays, so they were counting on and observed the habit. Observed? It is a possibility. Let's check the security cam for the apartment. Hopefully we'll be able to see who was there. It might shed some light on everything. If I've calculated this correctly, this one should be the camera I spotted on the wall opposite of your door. Here we are. Is it locked? That's nothing I can't handle. Jonathan smirked and opened a drawer underneath the desk. He took out a small handheld rectangular machine which had no definable markings on it. I call her Machine. He connected the device to the laptop, clicked a few buttons, and the device started to make a whirring noise. Beep. Oh wow. This is why you need to get out more. But then, where would you go? Or then where would you be without this old man's kooky devices? Now we just need to choose the date. 23rd of March, wasn't it? Yeah, that's the one. They watched the footage and both began to look concerned. Nothing? How could there be no movement at all evening? Jonathan checked the recording from previous days leading up to the owl event, and still nothing. It looks like someone has tampered with the footage somehow. This is not the original. Can we get the original? It depends, but either way, it's beyond my capabilities. We'll need help. We know that Max is a hacker. She may be able to assist. Lee is another whose knowledge goes way beyond my own. They could be an option, should you wish to delve deeper. Someone has gone through a lot of trouble to cover up who they are. For now, I don't think we're going to find the answer. Try your best not to worry. Go and get some rest. Maybe give it a few days and we can ask Max or Lee if they can help. He gave Blake a reassuring squeeze on the shoulder. Word had already spread around the office that Blake could be Jonathan's long-lost son. No one had the stones to ask Blake about the gossip, They were all treading lightly around the subject, but Blake sensed the chatter. The owl incident and the poem felt like a strange and distant memory. Looking up from his daydream, Blake noticed Chris was standing by him, just staring. How long had he been there? How did he not feel the quiver of the building structure as Chris galloped over? Blake felt a shudder down his spine. How's it going? I have some analytics for you to run through when you get a moment. Mr. Gourdane said he is keen to get the ball rolling. Chris handed over the copy with care, as if it was made of thin glass. More paper. The paper is crinkled and crumpled veins of laziness of Chris's t-shirt. Blake considered derisively. Thanks. Mr. Gourdane, well, the other Mr. Gourdane. Wait, no, that's not what I meant. There's two. I'm sorry, I didn't mean. People just said Jonathan Jor. Chris stopped rambling. He looked worried and panicked as he realized he slipped up. The secret was out. It's fine, don't worry, it's not inaccurate, but please just deny any knowledge if anyone asks. Chris looked genuinely pleased and grateful. I won't say anything. I won't say anything to anyone, I promise. Jonathan always also suggested you and I get together outside of work to go through our projects. So, do you mind if I come over to yours? Great. I can bring more of my dog too with me. Great. That sounds great to me. Tonight it is. Oh, okay then. Blake pulled a perplexed face as Chris' mountainous frame hobbled off, and he wondered whether Chris had always been a Hulk or if he just really got into weightlifting. How many hours a day would you have to lift weights to achieve that? I can't wait for Ultra Assault. It's going to win a medal this year. I can feel it. Can you just imagine how amazing that would be? You're going to be eating my dust at the Red Dragon course, just like last year. I won't, because you're a lizard butt. Come on, then, out with the punchline. You'll be the one who's dragging behind. No, just no. Are you planning on taking part this year, Blake? I always have the best intentions to. I enjoy the events and everything in Ultra Assault Month, but tend to lose track of what's going on. I don't think my character has ever been higher than level 10. I prefer watching the live finals rather than taking part. You could always come to some classes with me and Orlo. Orlo had already zoned out and gone back to his work at this point. No reaction or look upwards at the sound of his name. Lee, however, looked to be listening intently as though he wanted to say something. As in, they have dedicated workout classes for this game? Yeah, it's nice. Everyone gets together to increase their levels, and it gives a proper community vibe, rather than seeing each other as opponents. How about you, Lee? Do you play? Me? Oh, yeah, I'll be playing this year. I came in 4th 2 years ago. No way! Seriously? Lee nodded shyly. Then he tapped his touchboard and brought up an image of him and his medal. That's totally Vin. Orlo peered up from behind his computer screen. Not a real word. I'm talking to an Ultra Assault finalist. Max touched the touchboard for a closer look and shrieked in delight. The loud noise brought Orlo back into the conversation. Pretty cool. Oh, thanks, guys. How did you manage it? I mean, I bet you trained every day, right? Yeah, of course. I'm more long distance and speed training, so I went to Ultra Assault bonus running groups. I leveled up my character's speed and agility enough to be in the live finals for the desert course within 12 days. Wow, so mega. I made sure I practiced on the game's demo courses so I knew what kind of obstacles my character would face. It was good fun. I see you have the Ultra X training watch. Just so Vin. Still not a real word. Yeah, I know Ultra Assault Month is a few weeks away, but I wanted to get the grips before this year's competition. It gives you better updates on leveling your character, and you can add in what exercise suits you, and more accurate reminders on how much more exercise you need to do. My Ultra V4 still does the trick for me. Don't hate the player. Conversation died down and everyone went back to their desks. Blake noticed a tablet pen left behind on his desk. A pink pen with a chewed end, just like the one in his apartment. Has anyone left their pen here? Oh, that's mine. How many times have I told you to stop chewing at the end of those, Orlo? You'll get a shock doing that. I'll be fine. Hey, you got a minute? Come in, come in. One hand gestured for Blake to come into the room, whilst the other was pushing paper to the side of his desk. He was happy to see Blake. How's everything going? Have you heard anything further on our mystery owl thief? Nothing so far, but Orlo left his pen on my desk. It's the same as the pen we found in the apartment. I see. We still need further proof before we can assume it was him. I think it's time we involve one of the colleagues in assisting us by hacking into the CCTV camera tonight. Ooh, my throat. That's a lot of reading, but this is a good story. It was funny. Okay. Considering you know much better than I do, and it would be rather less intimidating, it might be best for you to invite them. Who would you like to invite? I know Lee's nice, but I like Max. Max is awesome. Perfect. Let me know if Max agrees to help us. I've been meaning to ask, have you been doing well in general? I'm fine, but could do with a pay raise? I'm sure you'll unlock one of those soon if you've met all the targets. So, Jonathan and I want to check the CCTV at my apartment and wondered if you might be able to help us. Depends on why you need to check the CCTV. I had a break-in in my apartment. Jonathan's helped me looking into it. Oh man, in that case, of course I'll help you. So, how'd it go? Max is happy to help us. Great, my car will pick you up both around... What time would that be, 10? 10, no. It's like 8 o'clock at night. Yeah. 2000 hours. Blake headed through the main lobby at the end of his working day. Well, good afternoon, Blake. Andy had the most endearing smile and temperament. His nose and eyes crinkled as he flashed his hand in a welcoming gesture. Everyone thought Andy was an awesome guy. He knew all the staff members' names and little details about them, but every now and then he'd forget small things such as, how's the doggo? What's the little floof's name again? Ah, yeah, of course. And it made him seem more human. His creators had done a great job, as it was rare for a droid to be highly regarded and liked by staff members. Good day? Oh, yeah, it's been a long one, but we're nearly there. An affable chuckle followed as Andy glanced at the time on the wall. His voice was confident, tone was pleasant, and they'd given him an accent that was from neither here nor there. Andy rested his elbows on the desk and leaned forwards in a hushed voice. I had something I wanted to ask you. What's up? If you don't mind me asking, Lee's on your floor, so you must see him sometimes, right? Yeah, he sits near me. Tell me, how's he getting on up there? I think he's getting more confident. Seems to be growing. That's brilliant. Blake, you don't know how glad I am to hear that. Thank you. The door buzzed. Blake wondered what on earth he was doing, but he lifted his phone to the door panel to let Chris into his apartment. He had a fleeting thought where he wondered if the dog would be abnormally large, too. The sound of barking unleashed the moment the door opened. Chris had to hunch down to avoid hitting his head on the doorframe. The dog came bounding into the room, his big jaw opened in an excited smile, but lucky, the dog was normal size for a French bulldog. Come in, have a seat. Chris sat down on the sofa and made it look smaller than it was. He looked a little uncomfortable. Blake imagined everything was much bigger in his apartment to accommodate. This is Marv. He's very friendly. Stranger. He can talk? Marv sniffed at Blake's leg. Stranger, non-hostile. The dog stated this in a happy and hyperactive voice, and the collar flashed. Bayo vocalizer collars are the new technology. The device detects brainwaves and vocalizes. Marv needs them. Vocalizes Marv's needs when they are thought and helps me understand him as a being. I see. You can also play a game with him, and if you do, he'll let you pet him as a reward. Play. Do you want to play a game with Marv? Yeah. Okay, sounds like fun. Okay, you have to take turns to choose a number, and whoever reaches 33 wins. If you choose a number that's one the 4 numbers higher than the last number that was chosen, you can only do that. So if Marv started first and chose 1, you could choose 2, 3, 4, or 5. Let's do this. Reach 33. Let's let him go first. Marv goes first and chooses between 1 and 4. I choose 3. Uh, 6. I choose 8. 10. I choose 13. 17. I choose 18. 20. I choose 23. 25. I choose 28. I lost. 29. I choose 33. Marv wins. You gonna play again? Sure. Let's see if I can pet him. Oh, this is tough. Is it beatable? Huh. It is a puzzle. If I choose 24, he'll choose 28 on 33 runs. I need to stop him from choosing 28. I need to get to 28 first. Can I get to 28 first? Three, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, no. I think it's impossible. No thanks. No worries, good try. I think he's cheating anyways. I didn't think he'd be the type to have a pet. I like the idea of caring and loving for a more dependent species as if it was part of our own family. They don't have the tools to build and create like us, but our bonds are precious. Poop. Blake nearly spat his tea out. What was that? Oh, sorry, it's the Bayo. I should take Marv out to relieve himself before it starts to rain. He doesn't like the rain. After Marv was sorted, Blake and Chris worked on the project for a couple of hours. It was Jonathan's car to pick him up. He'd nearly forgotten. Oh, Chris, I'm sorry, but I have to go now. Let's continue this tomorrow at work. No problem, I'll look forward to it. Chris left with Marv. Jonathan's car arrived at the door on the dot to pick him up Blake. And Max was already inside the vehicle looking bedazzled by everything. Whoa, look at this place. It's something else. Jonathan showed off his bookcase trick and Max was awestruck. Look at all the doohickeys. Good word. I'll save that one for later. Jonathan took out a little jot pad and pencil from his pocket and scribbled a word down. Max and Blake looked at each other. Mac, I understand that this is rather unwanted request bringing you here, but would you kindly not mention anything about this clandestine endeavor to any one other person, please? Of course, Mr. Gourdain, I won't tell a soul. Okay, here's my computer for you to work your magic on. One moment while I grant you access to the system. Jonathan flipped through the pad again, then entered the password to his computer. Wow, that's one Vin computer. Good thing it isn't old like your other whatchamacallits, otherwise that would have been a challenging task. Max interlocked her fingers and flexed her hand backwards to make them click. Let's do this. Max got to work on the computer. I've never seen anything like this before. It looks like someone has encrypted the data and make it hard to hack. I'm going to need some help with this. Blake, can you take a look and see if you can override the security add-on? Yeah, I'll give it a shot. It looks like binary code. Blake, can you search for a binary translator on your phone and put in the numbers so we can find out which code unlocks this? No problem. Let's see here. I'm using my... I'm not using a camera, so I don't need to use my camera. Okay, that works. Let's see here. Binary translator. Binary to text translator. 00110011. 00110010. 00110001. 010101. 00. Oh, 01. Let's see. Last one's a 1. 01000. Oh, not smiley face. Dang it. 010001111. And 001100. 00110010. 321 tag 2. Wrong computer. Let's see here. 321 tag 2. Great, we're in. Nice job. I like that. That was interactive. That's pretty cool. Okay. The footage unlocked and started to play. Forward to the evening. All three were closely leaning towards the screen, eager to see what would happen. The footage showed Chris standing outside of Blake's door just after 11 p.m. Huh? This can't be. Chris took out his phone and stared down at it. The image went blank. What? Someone wiped the rest of the footage. Both Blake and Jonathan were quiet. So, was that everything you needed, or... Oh, yeah, sorry, this just isn't what we expected to see. Thank you for the help on this, we really both appreciate it. Thank you again for your assistance here, you've done a fine job. Nick is out front and he'll take you home safely now. Wait, who's Nick? Oh, sorry, this is the name of my car. You named your car? Well, I've had him for a few years now, and he's very reliable. I suppose I get attached to things like that are around for a while. They said their goodbyes, and Max left, leaving Blake and Jonathan. 321 tag 2. There's got to be a code for something. It's been put there on purpose, but a code for what? Maybe a city code? Oh, no. Maybe a city code? No, a lock somewhere, perhaps? Blake shrugged with no answer to give. Jonathan pointed up to the sky in a determined gesture. No matter. We'll figure it out this time. So, what do we do about Chris? Well, I can't say I'm too happy with the results. We must tread carefully here. It's a great disappointment to me to find Chris has somehow been mixed up in this. I didn't expect it to be him. It isn't. Never settle for the first answer you receive. We cannot presume that the puzzle is complete when we don't know how many pieces there are. I must recall your HD devices and postpone the project until further notice while this is under investigation. It is baneful irony that even once I possess Chris's HD device, we will not be able to check the activity due to the secure demeanor of the machinery. I think it would be best if I talked to Chris about what we just witnessed and find out what he was doing. Be careful. Good idea. I'd like to see what he has to say about it. The day dragged and felt longer than ever. Time to relax. News on, shoes off, couch, non-drugged beer in hand. He hoped. What? Adjusting himself slowly towards the screen, Blake felt a pang of horror slither through his veins. On the monitor was a man sitting at a desk, taking notes and staring. No, studying, gibbered Blake's mind. In the right-hand corner was a small image which mirrored Blake. He cautiously edged closer for a clear view. What the... The man on the screen couldn't possibly be studying him. It must be part of the program or an error with the station. But this was unlike any show Blake had seen before. And why was his image in the corner? Was the stranger taking notes on him? Blake slowly waved his hand to one side and the corner image mirrored him. The man on screen started to look worried and confused. It became paramount for Blake to capture what was happening. What if this was connected to what had been happening recently? Without evidence, he would be incapable of proving it. Blake held up the phone from his trouser pocket and took a picture of the man on his e-screen. Immediately, the man staring back at him became panic-stricken and started desperately pressing buttons. When that failed, he shouted for someone. However, no sound emanated from the speakers. Before Blake could get his phone to record the event, another man emerged from outside the periphery. Instant cut off and the scene went back to the news. What? What the fuck just happened? The experience was more than just enough to make even the sturdiest of people crumble into a paranoid tin hat wearing conspiratist. Blake hurriedly switched the power off before unplugging every single electronic device he could find on the flat. Oh, good lord. Shirt buttoned, fly done up, sunglasses, headphones on, blood pumping, music started in the day. There was nothing better. The sky was a fresh blue with no cloud in sight, and there was a rare luxury in the city of New Stone. Blake walked around the outside of the park, and it was a great day for it. To the right, a silver car sat waiting. The car plate 321 tagged to, he recognized it from somewhere. It was the code they got from the CCTV camera. He had to know they were connected. Blake peered into the car to catch a glimpse of the driver. Out of nowhere, he felt a needle-like sting penetrate the small of his back, in that awkward place where it's difficult to reach. Almost immediately, he began to find it hard to breathe, and a light-headed dizziness took over. Someone was there watching him. They knew he was onto something and getting close to the truth. They must have drugged him with a needle or a dart. He scanned the area, lots of people out on morning commute, but no one looked suspicious. Fumbling for his phone to call Jonathan, he began to wheeze harder. He has to pick up. He couldn't tell if anyone could hear him, but he could make out a figure as they rapidly approached him. Jonathan, someone... poison... The darkness claimed him. Sterile white light brought Blake back as he awakened in the hospital. Jonathan helped Blake check out and assisted him to the car. He didn't look worried. In fact, he looked a little amused. How old are you? What? 31. I haven't lost my memory. Yeah, so, in your 31 years on this planet, have you not once been stung by a bee? Rubbing his head, Blake seemed a little dazed, but not too bothered. You had an anaphylactic reaction. Luckily, it wasn't too severe, and this was the first aid officer in the park who administered an immunization vaccine, so you'll be completely dandy from here on out. No wonder I'm buzzing, eh? Well, apart from your cheesy jokes, you seem back to normal. Starting to feel more with it, Blake remembered that he had been doing before the sting. The car! There was a silver car on my way to work. The plate was 321 tag 2. It can't just have been a coincidence. You're right. We knew it had to mean something. And I caught a glimpse of the driver. He looked pretty rough. Big scar down one side of his face. We should wait in the same location and time tomorrow. I was about to suggest the same. In the interim, I'll investigate the plate and brief you on my findings tomorrow. Anyway, let's get you back home. No, I've got work to do. You sure you're feeling up to it? Yeah, I'm all good. Alright then. On the drive to work, Blake caught Jonathan up on what had happened on his E-screen. Hour and a half of reading. It really takes a toll. Man, my throat is burning. Oh, this is great though. Is it all a simulation? I don't know. But we shall find out. Half an hour into his work, Blake heard the tap of someone hitting the back of his computer screen, and he appeared behind it. Orlo was peeping out from the side of his desk, and his manky, chewed pen was on the ground by Blake's desk, reminding him of the madness that had been following him around lately. Is it true you were late because you were stung by a bee? He chose to ignore Orlo's question. Orlo continued to stare at him until he couldn't take it anymore. Why does it matter? Have you seriously never been immunized before? Ooh, 3 questions in a row. You know what that means. Question match. What's a question match? You know, when you have to keep asking questions, whoever breaks the chain loses. That sounds easy. Wanna bet? Let's go. Do you want to go first? It's okay, you go first. Oh, she got you there, buddy. Oldest trick in the book. Better luck next time, sweets. But I didn't know we started. Max gave a cheeky wink, and Lee laughed a little. A hint of nervousness was there, but he did well to try to hide it. Lee hurriedly looked back down at his computer, hoping no one would notice his face going a little light shade of red. Blake, Orlo, your turn. Rules. No one-word answers. No repeating. No statements posing as questions I don't know. Judge, me, gets the final say. Go. Blake thought carefully about his choice of words. Is nothing ever kept secret in this office? Why? What else are you hiding from us, mystery guy? Are you sure you want to know if I was? Any reason I wouldn't? Are you sure? You gave that a great try, but you lose. No one ever wins that gets me. Orlo flexed his bicep and winked. You two are insanely competitive. But fun. Anyway, you could have taken an eye out with that germ-ridden pen of yours. Doesn't matter, you got a spare one. Blake couldn't help let a smile escape the corner of his lips as he shook his head at the two jokesters. Max and Orlo chuckled and snorted, escalating each other's laughter until they were all laughed out. Blake checked his phone. From Evident Corp Ltd. Dear customer, please accept this email as a formal apology from Evident Corp regarding the tech issue on 30th of March. We would like to clarify to our customers that our researcher calculating viewer figures inadvertently streamed a live feed. This launched the visual connection of all affected Tronic E-strings in the Newstone vicinity. We are offering a 10% discount on all Tronic products to those affected. That's a lie. The rest included small print which advised the puny offer was available for the next 10 days. Not that Blake was remotely roped in by it. Now there is proof that this random event was unrelated to the real problem at hand. Isn't it strange how you can only get immunized when you're having a bad reaction to something? It's just a shame that it isn't an immunizer for all bad jokes. Oh, Max hacks, murked by the team killer Orlo. You don't have to be so histamine about it. Ah, it hurts. At that moment, Blake received a notification on his computer to return to his HG device to Jonathan's office. He went to his locker and opened it. It's gone? Blake peered into the room before the side of the door to check if Jonathan was alone and not on call. He saw Jonathan and Chris talking. Oh, I'm so sorry, Jonathan. I don't know where it is. You swear you have no idea, Cal. Who's Cal? Blake thought. My whole life is indebted to you. I have no reason to be upset that balance. What about last week? What were you doing on my son's flat in the early hours of the morning? Last week after the work drinks, I got a weird message from him asking if I could come help him. When I got there, he messaged me saying he'd sorted it out wherever it was. I see. Blake stepped into the room, pulling at the handle purposely to make noise to get their attention as he walked in. Blake, do you have the HG device? I don't. It's not in my locker. So that makes the both of you. Jonathan sighed and then smiled and nodded to Chris. Chris, that's all I wanted to ask, and I apologize if I seemed intrusive. No, it's not a problem. If there's anything I can do to help, let me know. Thank you. Jonathan walked Chris to the office door, closing it once the gargantuan figure had left. It was the only way... Excuse me. It was only you and I who knew my intentions to remove the HG devices, or so I thought. But to take both, this is rather troublesome indeed. This could mean we're possibly dealing with more than one person here. For now, finding some evidence on the perpetrator or perpetrators is most pertinent. I'm going to need Lee to help me with this. Would you mind kindly retrieving Lee from the reception area for me? How do you know he's not at his desk? Jonathan chuckled. It's only a hunch, but most likely one. I often find him down there talking to Andy at reception. I have no idea what they need to talk about, but if you find out, I'd love to know. Andy was sat at the front desk unexpectedly alone. Hey man, have you seen Lee around anywhere? I've got Jonathan looking for him. Oh, no problem. He's just in my quarters. I'll go get him. Blake raised an eyebrow as Andy disappeared into the small room behind the desk. The door opened a few moments later and Lee came rushing out. Hey, I hear Jonathan's asking for me. Blake looked at Lee curiously and then at the door. What's happening in there? Oh, yeah, I was just trying to get Andy to help fixing his e-screen. If it's broken, I'm sure Jonathan will get him a new one. No, it's okay. Lee scratched the back of his neck and looked uncomfortable. I kind of want to trust him. I like Lee. I don't buy it. What's really going on? Okay, look. I was connecting my tablet to his e-screen so he could watch me stream on Nudge. Andy lives in the tiny room behind the desk when he's not working, and like us, he gets bored sometimes. He's not allowed the internet outside of work hours, and even it's mega restricted. I hacked my tablet so he could just access Nudge. I'd be more worried about he might start a channel and get Nudge famous, then you'd be caught. Lee laughed. True, I hadn't thought of that. You're not going to say anything to Jonathan, are you? Thanks, dude. I appreciate it. Oh, my throat. Not feeling up to cooking, Blake decided to stop by Saucy Mama's and pick up something to eat. Blake spotted Max sitting alone. Blake leaned to the side and put his hand up to catch Max's eye. Hey, Max. Oh, sorry, Blake, I didn't see you there. I'm great, thanks. You? Take a seat if you like. He feigned a smile. There was no reason for him to tell Max what was going on. Going to Orlos tonight to eradicate the infestation of living dead. You want in? She was talking video game language again already. The idea of playing games with Max and Orlo felt like it could be a distraction, but he wasn't sure that's what he needed right now. Not tonight, but another time. Boop. What can I get you two, sweethearts? Do you want another tea or anything to eat? Go on then. I'll have another cup. And a slice of banana bread, if you have any left. I'll have peanut butter toast, a pizza cake, and bluebird. That comes to 52 bits. Are you paying separately or together? I'll get this. Oh, thanks. Blake held out his phone for her to scan. All done. Your order's coming right up. Did she call us sweethearts? No, I think it was sweet tarts. You know, like sweetie pie, but a tart. That's not a thing, though. Maybe it is here. Want me to ask? No. Max leaned in and touched Blake's forearm. Don't do it. Okay, you have my word. Banana bread, huh? Nice choice. I think I might be a bit like banana bread. Easy to digest, not too sticky, sickly. Some people love it. Some people think it's gross, sweet enough, and bananas. She pulled a silly face and smiled. I like banana bread. I like it a lot category. Smooth. Why, thank you, Blake Gourdain. For a moment, she pulled a horrified face. Blake imagined it was the kind of face she'd pull if she walked in on Orlo naked. I'm sorry, I didn't think there... Are you planning to go by that name? I'm guessing everyone knows then, huh? I haven't really talked about it, though. But if I want it in the inheritance, I suppose I might have to. He pulled a playful, menacing face, which made Max chuckle. You kill me, Blake. You're a funny guy. She beamed and smiled softly. You've changed. Yeah? In a good way, I mean. It must have turned your world upside down when Jonathan told you he was his dad. He was your dad. I can't imagine what that was like. Yeah, things have been a little crazy. How'd he tell you? I don't imagine he invited you to a meeting and then just announced it to you in his office. No, he knew the office wasn't the right place. I met up with him here, actually. He was going to tell me something, but came up and helped me out. Now when I think about it, it makes sense why he was so eager to help. Later that day, he was all like, Blake, I am your father, or something to that effect. I can't remember the exact words he used. Max smiled. That's a great impression. Blake chuckled at the server as the server arrived, doing an impressive balancing act of cups and plates. Thank you, Honeycake, but I got this. Just press the button if you need anything, lovelies. That's kind of you to offer to help. Conversation died down as Max's eyes transferred to the banana bread. Is something wrong with it? No, it's just that I'm watching what I eat at the moment. It was hard for Blake not to choke on the Bluebeard he'd sipped one moment before, but he managed to force it down his gullet without it going down the wrong way. His chest bobbed up and down, and he laughed without audio and shook his head. You got me. How do you come up with them so fast? I don't know. I guess there's something very addictive about seeing people smile. Buttered toast was a healthy slacker of peanut butter on it. Slightly burnt underneath, but still hot, sat on a warm plate in front of Blake. He took the knife and cut it down the middle as his company observed. That's an unusual way to do it. Picking up one half of the toast and eyeing it, Blake gave his reasoning for the precision. Perfect symmetry. I've always thought that cutting it the other way would be cutting it from the side. That, to me, is weird. Both enjoyed their food. Blake observed and people sitting nearby and noticed their nuances. Max shot out her phone to get her fix. Huh. Mouthful of food, she rushedly chewed to say something. Someone on the archives has claimed that Kill VR killed an innocent, and they have proof. Well, it could be true. She placed her phone back down on the table. I don't know how I feel about this. Surely it isn't true. I guess it depends on the proof, what proof it is. Then again, if you're not given the full story, you can have proof of something and still not have the truth. He was starting to sound like Jonathan. Oh, excuse me. I saw the new documentary last night, and I just can't imagine Kill VR deviating from their morals. So you think your documentary is reliable? Let's have a look. A few searches later, and Blake found out the name of the production company on his phone. It says here the production company Evident Entertainment are the largest shareholders of Clothes X, and we all know Clothes X are the primary sponsors for the Kill VR brand image. Their job is to make Kill VR look good, great, if not awesome. You're right, I guess only time will tell. They talked some more and then headed their separate ways for the night. The next morning, Jonathan and Blake had an early morning stakeout. Excuse me. I've done a little digging into the car plate. Really? Did you find anything? Jonathan took out the jot pad from his breast pocket and flipped a few pages. This car is registered to... Flip, flip, flip. Mr. Trout, and the registered address is in this town. However, I checked the address and the property belongs to Mr. and Mrs. Brown in a highly affluent part of Newston. Admittedly, I could be wrong, but this looks more like a fake address. It seems that whoever sent you that email has coaxed you down a rather recondite rabbit hole. Blake took the reins and conducted a quick search through his phone. Tap, tap, huff, tap. Your hunch looked spot on. Miss Brown's an Image Nation account. You can see numerous pictures of her and her husband's topiary art, but they look like... But have a look at this one in particular. Blake showed Jonathan the image. It showed Mr. and Mrs. Brown smiling in front of a large angel topiary. In the description it said, "Our little slice of heaven, Oz's biggest passion project at home, topiary art, hedge art, garden angel." Excuse me. He scrolled down to another image which showed a gardening charity event Mr. Brown had recently organized and raised a bunch of bits for. Oz Brown isn't our guy. That's not the man I saw in the car. He's not in any of these pictures. You're getting the hang of this detective work very well. Before you know it, I'll be managing you, old man. Blake's cheeky remark was softened by the admiring smile he presented. But in all seriousness, I can't help but feel like there's something we've overlooked. Well, the truth cannot hide forever. So I guess this means the guy doesn't always take the same route. Or maybe works alternating hours, or yesterday he was just a complete coincidence. It might not have even been a car plate. Sorry I dragged you out this morning. Oh, that's fine. It was great sitting in the car watching the world go by like a real stakeout. We'll both just have to be vigilant. Is something on your mind? I didn't tell anyone, but it seems like people in the office might know I'm your son. I suppose that was always likely to happen. I'm rather segregated from most of the office, but I imagine your colleagues knowing that I'm your father affects you. I don't mind people knowing. I'm not bothered by it. I'm not hiding anything. Jonathan let a smile slip. Neither am I, son. Beep. Blake checked his phone. From me. He showed the message to Jonathan. Meet him more outside of the abandoned computer store at 6 p.m. alone. This message contains 2 attachments. Sam Trout. Huh. Excuse me. This one says it's from me. And there are 2 images attached. Do you think we can safely open them somehow? Let's take every precaution. Machine would be best for this. He took out Machine and plugged it directly into the charging port of Blake's phone and extracted the file. It took minutes for Jonathan to open the images that had been attached to the email. The first image. A square-faced, thin-lipped, middle-aged man who wore a scruffy-looking, dirty brown jacket. He looked like a doggy Mark Tech Mark trader who stole faulty 3D printers. Blake studied his face. I was expecting a picture of a craniite gill-bearing freshwater fish. That's him. That's the guy I saw in the car. He doesn't look like good news, though, if you ask me. The second image. The man in the second attachment looked familiar, but Blake couldn't think where from. Taking out his phone, he stared up the What's app, took a picture of the image from Jonathan's computer screen, and waited for the app to load with results from the web. A news article came up with a face recognition match. It was Sam Stevens, the man who had been on the news as a missing person last week. He hadn't recognized him in the attachment due to the stubble and bedraggled look compared to the picture shown in the news. Nerves suddenly bolted down through Blake's body as the idea of someone trying to frame him for this lit up in his mind. He seriously hoped that the owl incident had an unparalleled occurrence, and maybe the person wanted Blake to help them find Sam. Do you think this ruffian, Trout, is the man who kidnapped Sam Stevens? He caught himself using one of Jonathan's weird words and cringed. There's a picture on the wall of both images and they match. This Trout fellow is certainly involved somehow. What does all this have to do with me? I've never met either of them before. Yes. Why tell you the information and why now? It is with deep-seated feeling of unrest when I say this, but I think whoever's behind this is inviting you to partake in their mind games. So far, they've coerced you into the involvement of their misdeeds, trespassed into your online ID, and taunted you through the means of poetry. None of the aforementioned events resemble an iota of benevolent impulsion. Yeah, you're right, I think, but I can't just ignore the fact that someone knows where Sam Stevens is. I'll go with you. You can't. It says I have to go alone, and I can't let you put yourself in danger. We don't know how many people are involved. It's a public place. I'll be okay, I'm sure. Acknowledged, but any worries of misadventure, you message me right away and I'll be there. Got it. Oh, and I put my car on speed dial. I'll have it parked near the area in case you need a quick getaway. Thanks, that's a good idea. A tired Blake sat at the sofa and enjoyed a cold Bluebeard. E-screen on, it was already Thursday. The day seemed to all meld into one. Recent days had been so eventful, too eventful. The cryptic messages, the disturbing events, and most importantly, his reunion with his dad, which made him feel like he'd found a part of himself again. Many hours passed and Blake slept like what could only be explained as a baby log. The chiming persistence of his phone woke him up, and it was 1 p.m. All the strange occurrences had left him weary. 6 p.m. came around quickly. Blake filled his spare time with a visit to the communal gym in his complex, shower, and lunch before leaving. No one there in the corner, unvexed, he decided to give it a while before the off chance. Just on the off chance. Trying to avoid eye contact, he spotted Harry walking in his direction. As she got closer, he realized it was inevitable they would exchange niceties. Greeted with a hug, Blake became concerned that she might hang around, and this wasn't a good time. Hiya! I'm so excited we were going to the cinema. I was thinking we could go see Gloomy Night. It wasn't just a coincidence she had come down the road. She fully expected Blake to be there. It was like she knew she was meeting up with him and they had made plans. Was he being messed with again? Most likely. This isn't the new one, though. They're doing a special showing of the original remake. The original remake. How was such an abomination allowed to exist? She wanted to go see that terrible, moody-looking drama franchise about a Yeti that falls in love for a teenage girl. No surprise there. He'd never arranged to meet her, but assumed a message had somehow been sent to her in his name. He needed to know how and why without sounding like he lost his mind. So, what are you doing when we arrange to meet? My work, of course. Hari was unfazed by the mini interrogation, clearly too preoccupied with the excitement about the movie, and how Blake knew his work email had somehow been hacked. This is getting out of hand fast, but he had to go along for it for the time being. Okay, let's go. After this, we can go to Saucy Mama's for a death by chocolate. Oh, God. Wait, did you just hear something? Yeah, it came from over there in the forest. Can you go have a look? Okay, for you, I'll double check. Blake rolled his eyes. The misuse of the expression double check aggravated him. Quick, we need to leave. Okay, let me grab my things. We don't have time. Why doesn't he just tell her what he saw? He doesn't have the time. Plus, the filmmakers didn't want to repeat what they just said, or what we've just seen. We can assume that happens off screen. She's really into the movie, Blake thought. I'm gonna go to the plumber. Oh, would you mind giving me some Sparkle Nova candy when you're out there? Sure. They don't have it here, though. You'll have to go over the road to get some. Oh, okay. Blake exited the screening, took a leak, and instead of wasting a part of his life, he stood outside for some fresh air. It was chugging buckets outside. Blake stood under cover from the rain so he could check his phone. The curtain of water unveiled a silver car waiting in the taxi lane, just steps away from the front door. It looked like the one he saw in the park. Yes, it was Trout. He was a taxi assistant? It wasn't obvious looking at the car that it was a taxi, although most of them weren't. Blake knew he would have to follow the car and see where it went. He shared his location to Jonathan's car and summoned it. Blake decided it would be best to let Hari know an emergency came up and that he needed to leave immediately. As he was waiting for his message, Hari stepped outside. Blake, are you okay? Hari, look, something come up. I need to go. I'll come with you. Where are we going? No, you can't come with me. Why not? You didn't tell me you were going. Blake watched as a woman ran up to the taxi and jumped in. They were about to leave. He had to act now. Jonathan's car showed up moments later. He shielded himself from the rain in his coat and made a run for the car's shelter. Hari followed. So, can I come with you? No. He jumped in the car and Hari got in the back. I won't be any trouble. Trout's car started to pull away. Hari, you can't come with me. This isn't... I'm not getting out unless you tell me why you're leaving and where to. I have to follow someone. Blake couldn't leave it any longer otherwise. The car would get out of sight. He released a sigh of adrenaline. Am I really going to do this? Do what? Look, just be quiet and try not to touch anything. Well, that's not very welcoming. I didn't ask you to come. Blake selected rain mode and the water in the car windows instantly disappeared into tiny droplets before evaporating into nothing. Manual mode selected. That way he could keep a car between him and them for a whole journey and tail behind without being seen. Following the car for half an hour, they headed into Newston. The car stopped outside of a large house and the woman jumped out. She'd been let out of the car. That was a good sign. Who is she? I don't know. Then why did we follow her here? We're not. We're following the driver. Oh. Are you an undercover cop or something? No, it's a long story. I just need to know where he's going. The car started on its way again. The sun had retreated, so Blake was hoping Trout would finish his shift. Otherwise, this could go on all night. All the anticipation and waiting was giving him a headache, but it didn't deter him. Patience paid off. After another 45 minutes, they ended up west, in the decrepit part of Newstone, or as they called it here, Newstown. Crime was rife, femme fatales and prostitutes aplenty, and the tech was behind the times. Blake considered that Jonathan probably acquired some of his more vintage contraptions and items from this part of town, but couldn't imagine him having any connections in this area. They arrived at the entrance to the docks. When Trout exited his car, Blake found a hill behind the docks to park on and peered down to observe. Trout made his way to the entrance of a warehouse. This is where he was residing. Initially, Blake's instinct was to snoop out the area, take his time and carefully plan the next move, but time was of the essence. Maybe Sam was there. Stay here, I need to go check this out. I won't be long. Okay. I mean it. This could be dangerous. If I'm not back in 30 minutes, call the police and don't leave the car. Got it? Got it. Okay, guys. I'm going to have to stop. My throat is burning. And it's been about 2 hours now, but this is great. I don't know how close I am to the end, but I am super digging the story. It's I don't know. It's just a really fun story. I mean, it has hooked me. And so I'll probably take another night, maybe this weekend, maybe Sunday. Maybe we can finish this together. I've already disconnected my camera. That's okay. You guys don't need to see me. But yeah, this has been Blake the visual novel. And this has been a fun game. Good job on this one. I'm loving it so far. So, yeah, I'm going to take a break now from talking. I probably won't talk for the next, I don't know, 12 hours or so. Gosh. I hope you guys enjoyed. And if you're watching this post-production on YouTube, thank you for watching the video. I hope everyone has a good night. And if you want to check it out, let me add this here to the chat. You can check it out here on Steam. There we go. And I think it's just a few dollars, actually. I think it's $1.99. And $2 from even just what I've played so far has been definitely worth it. So, if you want to go check out Blake, there's a link to the Steam store page. And I will see you guys next time. Thank you for watching. Have a great night.